And on the last day, they shipped a Copilot.
Asterisk, asterisk. I've installed this on 3 different computers.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them, granted, were VMs. I don't see it. And Raphael, as you know, can dig into this stuff. Came up with like 17 different codes to try and Vive Tool or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, nothing works. So, yeah, I guess they shipped it. Do we know anyone on Earth who actually has it?
Well, if you're in Canary, you definitely don't have it because that's the coal mine you're all forced to live in. I have a machine that's effectively stuck on it, so that's helpful.
Yeah. Laurent was asking me yesterday. He's like, so they didn't ship this to Canary. Do you think that's weird? And I'm like, well, I'm operating under the theory that Canary is 12.
Mm-hmm.
It's 12, right?
And I don't think it's a theory. It's got to be.
Well, it's a theory. I mean, it's a theory until they say it.
Sure.
It's
that is
founded
true.
in logical, thinking. It's an educated guess. But likewise, my theory is that the dev channel right now is what will become 22, 23 H2.
Yeah.
Which, whatever. So, yeah, given that, though, I still think it should be in Canary. Unless the plan for 12 is to have the Copilot stuff or be more integrated or something. I don't know, dude. I'm pretty sure the only reason they pushed that out yesterday is because I was heckling them incessantly on Twitter about it. I kept saying, there's 3 days left in June. Where's my Copilot?
I don't know. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to change much of anything, in my opinion, personally.
No, I agree. This is the, I don't know what you call this, the seven stages of grief when it comes to AI or whatever. The first stage is like it's going to destroy the world. Second stage is it's going to kill all these jobs. And then eventually get to the 7th stage and you're like, it's going to be a nice little boost to productivity in certain scenarios.
I think that's it.
I think that's the end of the sentence. Yeah. Which is fine, by the way. I still, if you accept the fact like the personal computer was like this milestone in personal productivity or whatever, I feel like AI absolutely is as well. It might even be the biggest one since then. I don't want to overstate it, but I feel like it is, But the hype cycle, I wrote about this in a newsletter, actually. It was like about hype, I think it was Qualcomm, but I couldn't remember exactly. But I remember sitting in a demo when the guy on stage, if it was Qualcomm, you were there with me. I think it was in that time in Hawaii. And they were saying, imagine you're standing in line at checking into a plane to fly. And you're like, oh, I didn't download any content. And then you go to Netflix or whatever, and you download, it comes down in 1 second. And then you give them your boarding pass, you get on the plane, you're all good to go. That sounded fantastic. That doesn't happen for anybody. And I think the experience for a lot of people is that 5G is actually as good as, or maybe even worse than 4G LTE, depending on where you live, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's a great example of hype. And I think AI is another great example. Paperless office, voice assistants, it was all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I don't know.
It's only going to enhance skills that you have. That is the only way to describe it. As an example, I'm not a Python developer, but I know how to work enough with AI now that I've written several scripts that actually help me quite a bit. But again, if you don't have a basic understanding of how to create a script, then it's not going to be all that helpful. Sure, you could have AI walk through it, but let's be honest, you're probably not going to do it.
I told a story on Windows Weekly the other day, but when we moved to Makunji, this little town we live in, this little borough we live in, I guess we have to call everything something different here. There's a little, there's like a group on Facebook you can join, and it's exactly what you think it is. It's like these idiots complaining about people parking or the cops or whatever. It's just stupid. It's incredibly stupid. But this woman got on the other day and she said, I am looking for an English tutor for my son to, blah, 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 whatever the thing was. But she spelled tutor, Tudor. And I didn't do this. I'm not this much of a dick, but I thought about writing back and saying, yeah, my favorite tutor is, what is it? Louis the 14th or whatever. I can't remember the joke anymore. But AI is going to help that. Right. Yes. And actually, you could have that help today if you just installed Grammarly, which I think is a proto AI type thing that could just, not everyone is an English major. Not everyone got past high school when it comes to schooling. Not everyone is just writes a lot, and that's the type of things I think this is going to help with the most. It's not your area of expertise, but you need help there. Like we have a friend, a wife of a friend or whatever, who's, she's nice and everything, but she's not like book smart or whatever. And when she writes things, she'll post things on social media, or she sends a text or an email. It's like, yikes, like there's no polite way to go to this person and say, hey, you should try Grammarly, by the way. No, but she should, right? And I feel like if this stuff is just kind of there, I think the point of AI is that it's going to be pervasively available everywhere. So Google will add it to their keyboard, and Apple will, and it will just be stuff that's out there. Like you're writing an email, and Gmail will be like, the tone's a little harsh, or you hear some misspellings or whatever. I thought it's hard to complain about that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just, it will help everyone,
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely uses for it, but you got to know what you're doing.
Well, which again, this is the thing I keep coming back. The danger of AI is that a smart person will use ChatGPT to formulate a letter or whatever it is, some body of writing, and then they will edit it. My wife and I, and we're writers, right? So we both use Grammarly. And one thing we talk about a lot, because we're fucking boring people, is how Grammarly will make recommendations that are wrong.
Yes.
And we have to fix. We have to be smart enough to know, no, that's not correct. And some of the mistakes it makes are incredibly basic. I don't mean dumb people. That's not fair. The problem is average people, or people who are not writers in this case, will just accept whatever AI produces because it is seen as being authoritative. It was created by the computer, and they'll just send that thing in, and they'll look dumb, because maybe it's an important letter, they're asking for a raise, or they're quitting a job, or it's a love letter to someone they care about, and then they'll get it and be like, yikes, and I think those are the pros and cons of AI, not missiles raining down from the sky necessarily. Although, we'll get there. I mean, we're good at that. Yeah.
Maybe. Other fun things happening. The court case is now wrapped up. The judge asked the FTC a lot of very probing questions. At some points, it was a little awkward about how much she was drilling in, and the FTC was unable to really quantify or qualify some of their points. So
this is what I was looking for. This is what you want to see. And this is all you get, until whatever the ruling is, where you can kind of see where they're leaning.
Yeah.
And I feel like the FTC and its representatives came up short a lot. And I think Microsoft was very consistent with their messaging all along, which is correct. And I think they did great overall. I think they did a good job of defending their position.
Yeah. Actually, one of the things I think is worth pointing out, the judge actually complimented both counsels by saying, look, you guys did the best you could in the amount of time given. You were both professional. This wasn't a screaming match. Yep. And she'll make a decision here. We don't know when. That is the big thing. We don't have. I don't
remember where I read this, but it could be as soon as next week.
Yeah, which would be convenient because I will be off the grid.
Yep. Oh yeah. No, next week is not busy at all. I'm flying to Mexico, hopefully. Given the airlines,
4th of July next week.
Yep. It's gonna be a cluster. So we'll see what happens.
Business closures and everything else. So we'll see. We will see. And as a reminder, if the judge does issue an injunction, the deal's dead. Activision's already said that. So.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, I think Bobby Kotick, I believe, said that if they issue an injunction, they're done.
Wow. Okay. It's interesting because Microsoft is pushing forward with their defense or their, I guess, appeal of the UK CMA ruling or whatever that is. Okay. I mean, like I said the other day, I think they can renegotiate, right?
Yeah, they could extend it. I think that would happen if the judge is like, look, I can't get a ruling done until July 23rd or something like that or whatever.
Okay. Well, these things have a way of surprising everyone. I just don't see any reason to block this. It doesn't make sense.
It's going to come. I don't know. It's going to come down to how the judge looks at the market. And the way she was leaning, it looked like she was saying the Switch should be included. And somewhat surprisingly, this wasn't brought up a lot. Actually, gaming PCs should be included in that market as well. So,
well, that helps Microsoft's case.
It helps Microsoft's case a lot. If
Did you see
that happens.
A lot of stuff has come out of these hearings and the paperwork that was filed. One of them was we got an Azure revenue figure.
Yes, this is interesting because it's low. Like,
yep. Now, unfortunately, when I hear something like this, I forget where my brain was before.
mm-hmm.
So if you had said to me like 2 days ago, where do you think Azure is revenue-wise compared to AWS, right? I would say that one's tough because Microsoft creates this imaginary business where they pull in all of their best cloud-performing things and they use it to say, look, we're as good as AWS. So obviously Azure is only part of that. Now, they're a big part of that, but apparently they're 50% of that.
Yeah.
I think it's the number. So Azure's revenues, I don't remember the exact figure.
They are the Xbox
billion.
of the PlayStation market, right? Or the gaming market.
If Xbox and PlayStation were the only two players, they are the Xbox of that equation for sure. They're 50%. Actually, I think Xbox might be less than 50%, but whatever. They're 50% the size. But that's, that may help Microsoft because they have other antitrust things looming related to such things as Microsoft 365, but also to cloud services in Europe. That's one of the ones. And so if they can show that it's like, hey guys, we're actually kind of the minority player here. And we've done a really good job of putting our data centers everywhere so you can have your kind of data, what do they call that?
Data sovereignty.
Sovereignty. I was like stuck. Yes, thank you. That's exactly the word. I was stuck on another S word. So I don't know. Maybe that was purposeful.
Maybe their new motto is we're number 2 and that's just fine with us. Like,
well, but which, by the way, is to the Microsoft enthusiasts in the audience. I've made this argument in the past. It's a little hard when you go back 20 years ago and Microsoft was the dominant force in personal computing. And today they're kind of like a distant something, depending on how you want to define this market. Their Windows is in third place behind Android and iOS, and it sounds terrible. It sounds like they lost something. The important thing to remember is that, if you look at a pie chart, they're a smaller slice of it than they used to be. They used to be like most of it, but that pie is like way bigger. And that slice they have is way bigger than Microsoft was when they dominated the market. So, there's all kinds of different ways to chop up data and make it look good for you. But at the end of the day, I think the dollar sign kind of wins there. They're a much bigger company than they were. They are, by the way, the second largest company in the world by market cap.
I know.
I mean, there's nothing to feel bad about here. The world has shifted. They have adapted, and they are a much bigger and diverse company than they used to be, and they can withstand challenges to individual businesses and be fine.
Yep.
I think that's what we're seeing here. They're number 2, but like you said, would say we're number 2, but we're fine, or we feel fine. Like, yeah, exactly. We're number 2, and it's great.
Yeah, I don't know, with those margins, I would be pretty happy too. I mean, that's
yeah, it's all good.
Pretty happy too. So
we got to talk about next week. You are going away.
Yes, gone.
So we're out all next week.
Yeah, I mean, you could do the podcast by yourself.
I'm not doing that.
I will be standing
I'm
next to
hopefully
large.
flying to, like I said, in Mexico. I'm going to be there hopefully Thursday. I don't know if you've been following the news with travel lately, but it's been kind of a shit show. Thanks to the weather.
Like this is like my biggest. Well, I hate flying. That's my biggest concern. But it's really we don't have directs, so this is going to be
could go wrong. Yeah.
The benefit is we have first flights. So like tomorrow we
want to leave as early as you can.
6 a.m. and our flight out of we're going from Cincinnati to Chicago and then Chicago to San Francisco.
Leaving at dinner time because the flight was so much less expensive.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean that is true though. Like it's.
It's absolutely true. This is especially in a busy travel summer like this year. If you're going to fly, you want the first flight. You just want the fewest number of things that can go wrong to go wrong.
Dude, our flight leaving San Francisco leaves at 5:20 a.m.
Yeah, and that's going to suck when you do it, except for one thing. You're going to leave behind a bunch of people who are never leaving that day.
Yeah, assuming our flight is there.
Right.
But that's the only way to get home.
Well, yeah, 5 a.m. flight, though, it is going to be there, right? That's the thing. You're not waiting for a flight coming in from somewhere at 5 a.m. That thing's there.
Hopefully.
Pretty much. Unless it's like a red eye or something, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened when we left. We got screwed last time. Our spring break, we were in Salt Lake City. Same type of flight. But the flight was stuck on the West Coast because of storms.
Okay.
And whatever.
Well, okay. But the point remains, individual flights, whatever. But your best chances of success are to leave as early as possible. There's no doubt about it. There's no exception to that.
And if you're on the West Coast trying to come back, if you want to get back before midnight, you have to leave at that time.
Yep. That's for sure.
It's the earliest. We'll actually land assuming again we get on all our flights.
Yeah.
2:30, which is fantastic. So
it's the best.
It'll be a
you
rough
still
day,
have
but
kind of a day,
yeah,
if that makes sense. So how far are you from the airport? An hour or something?
45 minutes or something like that.
That's good. Yeah, that's great. So you'll be home before dinner. Everything's good.
Yeah, that would be, again, assuming it all goes well, because that's the biggest stressor.
No,
right now.
I know. I'm
But if we can get out there, going to see some national parks.
Travel days are terrible for me. Not for the same reason they're terrible for you, but I guess for some of the same reasons. but yeah, they're tough. Anyway, I'm sorry. Where are you going? Yeah, what are you doing?
So we are going to fly to San Francisco. We're going to spend a few hours in San Francisco, and then we are leaving town. We're not staying in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And we're going to go to Sequoia National Park, Kings Canyon National Park, and then Yosemite National Park.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
I've been to Yosemite and to the, what's it called? Sequoia National Park or whatever. Yeah. I've been to those two places. Those are cool. I've never even heard of the other one.
Kings Canyon is right next to Sequoia. So it's like we're not even changing hotels. Like it's that.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
You're going to visit the homeless camp when you go to or to San Francisco? Or...
Like I said, we're not staying in San Francisco. We're going to go see the Bay Bridge. We're going to go not the Bay
set
Bridge.
up a tent. You'll be fine.
Golden Gate Bridge. It's it'll be busy out there, but our plan I think is to get to every park before 7 a.m. And so
yeah, no, that should be good.
Hopefully, that's the plan. That's the hope. That's the dream.
What day do you leave?
Saturday.
Nice. Have fun.